Okay, hello everyone. Hopefully you can hear me okay. This is Siobhan, and it is what's new in coming up with lipedema. I feel like my video might be a little bit choppy, so let me know, but also know there's not anything I can do about it. But do let me know about the audio. I'm hoping it defaulted to the correct microphone, and it looks like it has, so hopefully you can hear me. But yes, so it is what's new and coming up with lipedema, where we talk about all things that are new and coming up with lipedema. And so last week we talked a bit about the Congress, and now it's back to all the new stuff that's coming up because there's always something. So I do have a couple of notes here. One of them is actually a pretty big announcement, so I'll hold off a little bit on that. But I do want to mention that we are going to have a pain clinic sometime this month in October. So that is with Brian, and he talks about CBD and all of the different intricacies to that. And that there's a lot of people in the community who've said that CBD has been really helpful for them with the lipedema pain. I know a lot of other people have commented stuff like ibuprofen or Tylenol or aspirin doesn't really seem to help with the pain, but CBD does. At least for some people, can't guarantee it'll work for everybody. But that'll be coming up later this month. We don't have any dates yet, so make sure to check back next week. Make sure you're signed up for the newsletter, everything like that, and we'll have more information. As soon as we have it, we'll share it out with you. And then before I get any further, I do want to mention if you are watching, please put in the chat who you are, where you're at, what the weather's like, whatever you want to share. I do know that there are people here, but it makes me feel less lonely when I'm doing this solo when I see you over in the chat. Okay, so the other thing is, I think we also mentioned this last week. Also, before I get any further, if you can't hear me, well, I guess if you can't hear me, you wouldn't be able to follow any instructions. So instead, if you can hear me, please put in the chat that you can hear me. Because if there's no one around to tell me if my audio is working, it is kind of confusing. And oh, Lisa's in the chat. She said, Lisa, I'm in Central Illinois. Awesome. Nancy said, it is beautiful here. Glad to hear it. We do have some fall leaves turning a little bit here in Colorado. So it is getting much more towards my preference. Autumn is my favorite season. And Lisa said, you're good? Okay, thank you for letting me know. That makes me feel much better. Okay, so we have the pain clinic sometime this month, and we'll have more details on that later. But then next month, we have another thing coming up, which is that we're going to have a webinar all about thyroid, and we're going to have a few different experts in thyroid coming and talking about all sorts of stuff. Hypothyroidism, starvation hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's, all sorts of stuff. So you're definitely not going to want to miss that. Again, we don't have the dates yet or a sign up link, so it's more of just a heads up and keep an eye out. But we're going to be doing that next month. I believe Catherine said probably towards the end of November or the beginning of December. So that'll be a ways out before we have more information. But it's definitely one I'm going to be attending because besides knowing that some thyroid stuff changes with low carb and keto, I'm not like an expert on thyroid, but I would like to learn a lot more about it. And there's reason for me to be motivated to learn about stuff like Hashimoto's and all that type of stuff. Sue said, Sue from Pennsylvania, here fall has arrived and will rain tomorrow. I bet it is so pretty in Pennsylvania in the fall. Oh, and she said, fall is my favorite too. Cool. And Travia said, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Okay, so this month, pain clinic, next month, thyroid. The other thing that is happening, oh, Sue said, are you planning anything on autoimmune issues in general? I don't think we have current plans on it yet, but if there's anything like that that's of interest, definitely let us know. Because it might be something that if we can find some like experts on the topic, we might be able to pull them together and put something together. So I will bring that up with Catherine, that might be a topic of interest. Okay, so November. Another thing that is coming up is that in Rome, Italy, there's going to be the second um, World Lipedema Congress. So I will be attending that. So I will be heading out next month. I can't believe, actually, it's only a month away. That is so soon. But I will be heading out to Italy to attend that. So I will be able to report back on what's going on, what people are talking about while there, all that good stuff. So I will definitely keep everyone here informed. And then I will also get to see some people that I haven't seen in like 2 years at this point, because I met a ton of new people at the first Lipedema World Congress that was held in Potsdam, Germany. So I will also make sure to take lots of pictures so that we can share them out with the community. We'll put them in the newsletter or something like that, I'm sure. And I believe Matt Carmody will also be there, so I'll get to spend some more in-person time with him, which will be cool. So that's coming up next month. And the Congress, I believe, is the 7th. I'm pulling up my calendar here. Yeah, so it'll be the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So it's a Wednesday through a Thursday. And I'll be flying out on Wednesday, so I'll be attending 3 of those days. Because travel to Europe takes a while. And I have a 9-to-5 job I have to account for. But yeah, so I'll be attending Thursday through Saturday, and then I'll be spending a few more days in Italy. My husband, who's Swedish, will be hopping over on a flight, and we'll spend a couple days in Italy together. And then I will be heading over to Sweden until January something, 15th or 17th or something like that. So I will be in Europe for a while. And yeah, so we'll have that. I think also at some point towards the end of the year, we're going to have a coaching special interest group focused on thriving through the holidays sort of thing. So definitely keep an eye out for that. I believe I'm correct on that, but if not, don't tell anyone. Okay, so while we have people here, there's a big announcement, which I think is really cool, but the Obesity Medicine Association has accepted Leslyn Keith and Matt Carmody's presentation submission. So they're going to be presenting at the Obesity Medicine Association, which is mostly physicians, and it has I think thousands of people who watch it or something like that. So that is going to be in April, but they do know that they have been accepted for that already. So they're going to be presenting on the proposed framework for a case definition of lipedema. It's a super long title, but basically what it is how to diagnose lipedema. So they're going to be presenting to the Obesity Association about how to diagnose lipedema to a bunch of physicians. So let's clap our hands and give them our well wishes, especially as we come up closer to that date in April. And they're going to be doing that. So that's a big deal. And yeah, I'm super excited about that. I think once more physicians get more information on how to diagnose and what it looks like and what to do about it too, I think a lot of this is going to be a lot more accessible for people in terms of getting a diagnosis and things like that. Because really, realistically, really everything we cover in that framework could be done by a skilled clinician. I think it's mostly just that they aren't aware, for one, and then also they're not confident in the ability to diagnose. And if they diagnose, many physicians, I would say, that I've spoken to want to know what to do about it. So if they don't have that information, that lipedema is a thing, that they have the ability to diagnose, how to diagnose, and what to do after diagnosis, then it's a lot harder to get a diagnosis. So that'll be really important. We'll have more information on that as we get closer and closer to that date. It is in, I believe Catherine said that is in San Diego. So if you're in the California area, maybe there would be some interest in attending. Although I think it is more clinician focused, but I don't know that this ever stopped anyone. Okay, and then Lisa said, has there been any reports on GLP-1, I'm assuming GLP-1 agonists effects on lymphedema? So I think there is some exploration of the topic in terms of like some of the effects on inflammation and things like that. I don't know that I've seen a study on it directly. And then for lipedema, there have been smaller studies, but I think generally short term. So we don't know of what the long-term effects are. And with anything kind of directed at obesity, I guess, it's more the long-term stuff, like bariatric surgery. It was only once we had like 5-year data that we started realizing there was some recurrence and things like that. But any reports, I would say anecdotally, yes, and interested in exploring, I think would both be accurate things to say. Okay, so yes, so we have those. There's a ton upcoming, I guess, is the long and short of that. We also have additional things in uh, January. Yep. So in January, actually, I can't talk about that yet. I have something I'll be doing in January that I will let you know later. And then also in February and also in March. So over the next 6 months or so, there's a lot of stuff coming up, and we will keep you informed about all of it. And Tuan in the chat said, hi from Rochester, New York. Another place I suspect is very pretty in the fall. I actually lived in New York for about a year, but it was when a teenager, so I don't really remember it very well. Oh, and then Sue said that, okay, she has an autoimmune condition and thought others expressed autoimmune issues other than thyroid during the Heart to Heart Congress. Yes, I would not be surprised if that were the case. And then Sue said, difficult for me to separate autoimmune issues from lipedema-related problems. Definitely understand that. But yeah, so I think it's a good topic to explore. So I'll bring it up with Catherine and see. The main thing pretty much is basically finding someone who is an expert in the topic, who's willing to present for us. So usually if we can find the expert, they're willing to present because they're excited to talk about something they're passionate about. Yeah, so I'll have to shuffle around in my head. But we will definitely be talking about autoimmune thyroid at the very least. And there may be some decent amount of overlap when talking about that. Yeah, and autoimmune is interesting because there is some lymphatic involvement with it, in terms of like there's 2 phases of autoimmune disease, at least from what I've seen in terms of like rheumatoid arthritis, where there's an initial phase with increased pumping frequency to clear out debris from damaged tissue, is my understanding of it. And then a secondary phase where that is not able to keep up and there's a lymphatics collapse phase. And then also some research in terms of multiple sclerosis potentially benefiting from some brain lymphatic stuff, basically draining of the cerebrospinal fluid. So definitely interesting to me, at least, in terms of the lymphatic overlap and just overall wellness and health in general, because autoimmune is another one of those things that does seem to respond in a lot of people very well to like ketogenic and carnivore diets. I know people who are on both of those for autoimmune, but I do also know others who find it still very tricky and a lot of nuance to it beyond just like, oh, lower carbs and then that's it. There's food sensitivities and some benefiting more from like a therapeutic level of ketosis. And even then, some big question marks I don't think we fully understand yet. So yes, it's a topic I'm certainly interested in. So since it is just me, I think I will call it here unless anybody has any other questions. Um, partially because my throat is kind of dry, because I went out for coffee with a friend of mine and we ended up talking a whole bunch, which was really fun, but I don't usually talk that much. And possibly the air is a little bit dry because it's just getting to be that season. Okay, so pending any other questions, um, I will see you all next week. And just to recap what we talked about, in case you're just coming in, sometime this month there will be a pain clinic where we'll be talking about CBD and all of the intricacies of that in terms of lipedema related pain. Always a super important topic. And then also in November next month, there's two big things, one of which is the thyroid webinar. We'll be talking about all things thyroid, from autoimmune to famine, hypothyroidism, and all sorts of stuff. And then also there's going to be the World Lipedema Congress. Now, I don't know if there's a live stream option for that. I think there might have been last year, but if there is, we will let you know. If not, they had a on-demand access after the Congress last time. Not last year, if that's what I said, but last time. So either way, we'll let you know what's available. And then in December, we'll probably have some sort of something over the holidays. And we have a bunch of stuff coming up over the new year, into the new year. So once we get closer to that, we'll catch you all up. But I will see you next week, probably with Catherine in tow. She had some other stuff to take care of today, but she should be back next week, as will I, and we will continue to keep you up to date on everything that's up and coming and new and recent and all of those different things about lipedema and lymphedema, and sometimes autoimmune and sometimes thyroid and sometimes different things that come up. Okay, so I will see you next time. I have some additional work that I need to get done, but thank you everybody for stopping by. Thank you for the people who brought questions and let me know that you're there in the chat so it didn't feel quite so awkward soloing it out here. I hope everybody has a wonderful time. I hope for those of you in this general part of the world that is going through fall right now, that it's very pretty and cozy and you have lots of hot cocoa and comfy blankets and all sorts of different things. Hot tea if you prefer, or cold tea if you prefer, or whatever you prefer. Anyway, I'm rambling at this point, so I will see you guys next time. And thanks for stopping by. And we will always aim to keep you updated.